What are these? These, my friends, are the end of the world as we know it.
He's an expert in generations, managing change, leadership, and trust.
Every organization has people on the fence in change. That's where most people live.
He's the author of Sticking Points, How to Get 4 Generations Working Together in the 12 Places They Come Apart, and the best-selling workshop, Leading Across Generations. Haydn has spoken to over 100,000 people at 1,500 businesses, from Fortune 500 companies to startups, as well as not-for-profit organizations and governmental agencies. His long-term organizational development and change projects have been written up in case studies. The Washington Post called him a leadership guru. This is Haydn Shaw.
It is. It is the end of the world as we know it. I'm not sure we feel fine. It is the end of the world as we know it because these are coming. What are these? These are flip-flops. This is the footwear of choice for the next generation in the workplace. This is the footwear of choice. Now, I took these out of my son's closet. He's a middle millennial. Okay, the first thing we learn about millennials is that their feet are very large. These are 7th grade feet. They're bigger. They win in basketball against older guys, right? They're bigger. The other thing we understand about millennials is that they've got it covered. No sweat. These are his everyday flip-flops, and these are his dress flip-flops. You got it. These are his everyday, and these are his dress. Things are covered. We went to my parents' 50th anniversary party, and I said, put some shoes on. Well, I got shoes on, Dad. Put some dress shoes on. These are our dress shoes. Now, in my generation, these were not shoes. This wasn't even footwear. This is what you wore at a KOA campground because you saw the feet of the people 2 campsites over, and you did not want your feet touching the same shower house floor that their feet touched. You bought these at a dime store for a dime, and then you wrapped them in plastic and disposed of them as if it was radioactive. Right? That's what you wore them for. You wore them at the beach because men didn't wear sandals. Men wore shoes. Men hid their feet like men. Right? Traditionalists wore dress shoes all the time. Baby boomers would wear tennis shoes. Generation Xers are the first generation to bring us men in Birkenstocks. Except the Xers had the decency to cover them up with socks until leading men's magazines had articles by women saying, look, cut the socks with the Birkenstocks. Not so attractive, right? So I know it's just my generation, but I don't think men should be wearing sandals. They have big, hairy, knobby toes. Cover them up. If you have ugly feet, cover them up. That's right. I am not being sexist here. Many women have ugly feet. That's right. If you're a lady with big old hawk toes, putting nail polish on the talons does not do any good. So this is not sexist. I don't care what gender you are. If your feet are ugly, cover them up. Right? Cover them up, because it's the end of the world as we know it. Generations. Now, my father doesn't call these things flip-flops. What's my father call these? Thongs. He calls these thongs, which crack my kids up because they will kick off their flip-flops at my parents' house, and my dad will say, move your thongs out of the way before somebody trips. Dad, Grandpa calls them thongs. Grandpa calls them thongs. You know, it's just awkward when you have the little sit down with your father and explain to him what a thong means today. It's just an awkward family moment. But it's not just flip-flops. It's not just flip-flops. It's how we communicate. Right? How we communicate. It's whether or not we believe earbuds are appropriate at the work desk. It's meetings. It's what start time means. 8-ish or 10 minutes till 8, right? It's how we get things done. It's when we work. It's who makes the decisions. Flip-flops is just one small example of the fact that we even use language differently. It's as if we were from different countries. Wouldn't it be easier if we were from different countries? If we were from different countries, we would say, let me understand you. When they're from the same place we're from, just from a whole different era, with a whole different set of experiences, that's when we look at folks and say, what is wrong with you? When I started in this job, they gave me junk jobs to do. And I was happy for it because my parents told me I could not come back home. Now, millennials, this newest generation gets a lot of attention because they're new. We've been realizing the last couple of years that they're different, that they don't respond the same way. And organizations are saying, what do we do with them? September 11th, I was working with University of Illinois a couple of months ago. And a millennial was in the room who led one of the IT departments. And he said, September 11th. I said, how? How did it change things? He said, it changed everything. I said, could you help me and break that down a little? He said, no, I can't. There is nothing in life that did not change. Think about it. No matter how many organic greens you eat, no matter how much you exercise, no matter how much you take care of yourself, somebody else could come in and end everything at a no fault of your own and nothing you can do. Cartoon in a newspaper showed a grandfather with his arm around his grandson, and he said, lost a lot of good friends in Nam, and his grandson said, was that the name of your high school, Grandpa? Sometimes people complain about the millennials as a selfish generation. That's not what the research shows. Now, they want to be rich and famous. The Pew Research Group discovered a couple of years ago that 72% of millennials want to be rich and famous. But not necessarily American Idol rich and famous, although that does promote it, doesn't it? All you got to do is be a dental hygienist here in Chicagoland, and you can make it on American Idol. Be known throughout the world and voted on by many, right? But for them, it's, I just want to make an impact. I want to make a difference. I want my life to matter. September 11th, if you lead an organization, if you're a manager and you don't help your millennials figure out why they're doing what they're doing, and you hand them the junk jobs because you had to do the junk jobs, when you started, you are setting yourself up for turnover. Different world, different set of needs. All right. Millennials, they're heavily managed. Sometimes managers say to me, but they come in and they say, well, I'm bored after 9 months in this job. Hello, it's called work. It's a job. It's not happy time. One Generation X manager said to me, they act like their boredom is my problem. I said it was. For boomer parents, it was their problem. How many of you older folks like me were told to go outside and come back in when the street lights came on or when the sun went down, depending on where you lived? How many of you would send your nieces, nephews, children, grandchildren out with the same instructions? Right? They've seen stranger danger videos. They know to run if a guy's creepy and not working during the daytime. If he's creepy and not working in the daytime and offers them candy, they are to run. Which can confuse them in many families, because many of our families have an Uncle Lou who lives in the basement at Grandma's house, right? Who doesn't work and offers them candy, which, Mommy, Uncle Lou scares me. It's okay, honey, she scares the rest of us too, right? Uncle Lou's a little scary, but Grandma just won't listen to tough love. Yeah, they're heavily managed. So because we can't send them outside, we had to get them DVD players. We had to put DVD players into our cars. Now we have individual screens so that they won't fight. How many times do you watch people go from one fast food restaurant across the street to another fast food restaurant just to shut them up? Then they show up at work and go, I don't like that. I like that. And we look at them and say, you are so entitled. You have such an entitlement mindset. Well, when I was your age, what do? Well, the first and most important thing is to laugh. Because if we don't laugh, and if we cry, we communicate to the other person that something is broken in you, and my generation is better than your generation. And that's where we get ourselves into trouble, because when we try to fix people, we just kind of claw them. And most of us tend to avoid getting scratched on a regular basis. I can't wait to go into work. I call my boss the claw, right? Take your best shot. Yeah, we get onto monster.com and pray really, really, really hard that something opens up. What's my theme? Every generation has a theme. Every generation has, if you could summarize it in one word, the traditionalist would be always faithful. Semper Fi. Do your duty, shut your mouth, make it happen. Baby boomers, do your own thing. Isaac Hayes, The Backside of Shaft, 1972's Grammy-winning disc. You know Shaft, he's a complicated man. No one understands him but his woman. Shaft, John Shaft. Can you dig it? Shut your mouth. But on the backside of Shaft, was a 14-minute song called Do Your Own Thing, where Isaac Hayes, Black Moses, Isaac Hayes is wearing nothing but a gold chain mail, full-length suit with black pants and some kind of like Alaskan boots, fur boots. And they play for 14 minutes and they sing only. It was a very funkadilicious song, right? Funkadilicious, but he sings only one thing over and over again, do your own thing. If there was a mantra for the boomers, it was, do your own thing. Okay? For the Xers, it was get real. How many commercials had get real in it? How many television shows and songs? There were even TV series that used the word real in the title. Get real. Remember Joe Isuzu? When Isuzu wanted to launch a car line, they knew they couldn't take on the big automakers with the big expensive ads, so they went after a market that was turned off to big grand mall advertising. And so Joe Isuzu stands up there and lies while the real world comes down the screen in the back, and it started a whole new trend, right? It signaled a whole new trend in truth in advertising. As a matter of fact, if you make fun of yourself, we consider you much more honest and serious. All right, millennials, the greatest love of all. Greatest love of all. Millennials, if they have a key word, it is self-esteem. Key word for millennials, self-esteem. Whitney Houston, greatest love of all, her breakout song. 10 million copies of Greatest Love of All. Who was the greatest love of all? Think about the lyrics to that big breakout song. All of us heard it till we couldn't stand it anymore. Who was the greatest love of all in her song? She was. I thought it would be Bobby Brown, but no. All right, traditionalists. How do they think about job security? I want long-term job security. I want long-term job security. I don't care if I like my job. I don't care if it's healthy. My father-in-law worked in the steel mills with asbestos up to his waist because it was a stable job. Okay, baby boomers. I want long-term opportunities. I want to find satisfaction. I want to find growth. The sun will come out tomorrow. The career will stretch out in front of me. It is an optimistic time where I'll make more and enjoy it, and it will be engaging. Why? Because traditionalist fathers said, don't do what I did. Stay in school. Find a job you like. Don't do what I did. Xers, I am always looking for opportunities to grow and enhance my skills. So I'm packed and portable and ready to go. We already talked about that. I need to be able to land on my feet. And if you don't give me training, I will go to some place there is. Not giving an Xer training opportunities, even if we hit a market recession. Not giving Xers training opportunities is like stealing pension money from a traditionalist. Stealing pension money from a traditionalist. It's what their security is based on. Finally, the millennials. How do they think about job security? I am currently looking for a way to express my meaning, my purpose, and find my passion in life. I was in Austin, Texas, and a guy said to me, this is worth the 3 hours I drove to hear this presentation because my wife is so angry at my daughter-in-law. My son's been married to her in 1.5 years, and she's changed jobs 3 times, and the reason each time is this is just not my passion. My wife's frustrated that she is putting stress on her little baby, that he's having to carry the load while she finds herself. Because suddenly it makes sense to me, after all.
If you want to see change in the lives of your audience built on practical content and great stories, if you want humor that helps people to see things differently, and if you want someone who does his homework to create maximum takeaway value, Haydn Shaw will deliver for you as he has for hundreds of organizations.